Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Josh Blaylock, and this is the Skype for Business recap. This is episode 3, so I've survived 3 weeks. And this has been a busy week, not necessarily in the Skype for Business and Microsoft UC side of things, though it has been busy there as well. But man, just at work this week, there's been a number of crazy things. Too many pokers in the fire right now, but I've managed to take a moment to surface from all that, take a deep breath, and deliver this week's newsworthy items for the Skype for Business enthusiasts out there. First off, let's talk a bit about, let's start with my blog post. So I yesterday got a Skype for Business hybrid blog post published, and that has been in the works for weeks that I just have been meaning to get out. Nothing overly complicated, just no time to get it done. Go through the process, take all the screenshots, put together a clean blog. Finally got that out yesterday. And thank you to all of you amazing Twitter connections I've got out there. You guys are awesome. You retweeted that thing like crazy, and I've gotten a lot of traffic on that one blog post since last night, very nicely. So thank you guys again, and I really hope the blog post actually ends up helping some people. I ran across a couple odd things that were one error and then just one unexpected behavior unexpected for me via the process. I was following the TechNet documentation for configuring hybrid in your Skype for Business online environment. And of course, this is with the assumption that you already have a full-blown on-prem environment in play and you have a Skype for Business online tenant set up. And so I run through these steps, and this is all documented in the blog. I'll put a link to it on the another blog post actually. But if you're looking for the blog, just check out blog.msucguy.com, and that'll be right there. But essentially, when it came time to move the users to Skype for Business Online, the TechNet documents didn't really say anything before stating to run the commandlet about assigning the license to the user that you have synchronized via directory synchronization. So I've synchronized my users from my AD, my on-prem AD, to my Azure AD. They're all there, and now I'm ready to move one of my users who is currently enabled for Skype for Business on-prem. I'm going to get ready to move them into the cloud with move-cs user, and apparently you have to actually assign them the Skype for Business online license in Office 365 prior to moving them. I did not know this, and the hybrid documentation that I was following made no mention of it. After it jumped from configuring the environment for hybrid to moving the user, there was no mention of doing this. It might be in some other TechNet document somewhere, but that wasn't what I was looking at. So I called out the error that you get, called out how you have to go in and assign the license. But then after you rerun the commandlet, you get the same error again. And I was just baffled at that point, because I'm like, okay, I have assigned it. I can see that this is in play now. Why am I still not able? Why is it reporting the same error to me? The second time around, the error was incorrect. Well, it was partially correct, technically, because the provisioning process after you assign that license is not lickety-split. It takes a good, at least for me, 15 to 20 minutes for that user to be ready to actually move. 15 or 20 minutes later, I was able to use Skype for Business Management Shell to run the move-cs user commandlet, and then it actually took. It finally recognized that this user has a license assigned, and I can assign them, I can enable them for Skype for Business Online. So anyway, that was a couple odd things that were called out in the blog post, but the blog post goes beyond that, and lots of screenshots showing what my lab looked like before I started, what it looked like afterwards, and then demonstrated obviously logging in with a user who has been migrated, showing they still have their contacts and all that good stuff. So check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's a pretty informative blog, and for people that are getting started with hybrid, it's a good starting point. So next item on the list is a little notification I got because I'm part of the Cloud PBX preview program. about voicemail. I've also set up voicemail for Cloud PBX, which is also preview. And so the latest preview feature is localization of the language for your voicemail. Apparently they have just made it to where you can either at the tenant or user level change the default language that is used for voicemail. If you're going to change this at the tenant level, you need to go into the Office 365 Admin Center, into your company profile, and then hit the language drop down, and it's right in there. For the user has to log into portal.office.com, go to account, and then go to settings, and they can change it in there. Nothing big or major there, but good information to have if you're keeping up thoroughly with that preview program. The next piece I want to talk about is minimum topology. The concept here is kind of a hybrid voice concept where you don't have a full-blown on-premise server deployment. If you're part of the preview program, you are provided with these packaged VMs that can be deployed on Hyper-V, and you will have, and then a configuration file as well with scripts that run against the configuration file and install the VMs and all this good stuff. So a fairly automated process to get this set up. But the idea here is that every single one of your Skype for Business users are online. You don't have a front end. You run these VMs in your on-prem environment, and you've got an edge server, you've got a mediation server, and you have a CMS role that all get installed internally. And these components allow you to interact with your on-premises PSTN gateways or PBX setups from your Cloud PBX users. So I believe the point is, and I'm going to sound stupid saying this because I haven't had enough time to thoroughly dive into this yet. I believe the point is that you are potentially giving those Skype for Business Online users enterprise voice functionality beyond simple phone and voicemail by having these components installed on-prem without the front end, without all the other stuff that you would need to have on-premises users. Thus the name minimum topology. You're putting in the minimum amount of servers you need on-prem to extend full enterprise voice functionality to your online users. So this is very much in preview. The documentation even felt very preview to me. It wasn't dirty, or it was clean documentation, but it was just, it felt rushed. It felt like it needed to be gotten out there for the program. So check it out. I'll put a couple links to that as well, so that you can go and check out the planning for it and configuring for it documents, and see what that's all about. So interesting developments there. It's kind of a hybrid week, I guess, for me, as you can see from these topics. The next topic, though, is just throwing a shout out to the guys that created Link Validator. Richard Brentison, dude, I'm sorry. That probably, neither one of those were probably correct. I'm sorry. But Richard and Michael LaMontagne. Richard's Twitter handle is @rbrentison, and then Michael's Twitter handle is @realtimeuc. And these guys have just announced the product has been updated to reflect newer Skype for Business settings, topology, etc. So it's now called Skype Validator. The URL is still linkvalidator.com, but the product is now Skype Validator. And I had never used it or dug into it really, so I decided this was a great time for me to jump in. Man, congratulations on this product. It is awesome, guys. I love it. I don't know why I wasn't really aware of it before, and I really have been missing out on my deployments for customers by not utilizing this. This streamlines things so much and gives you all the information that you need to get started from the get-go, all in one clean document. It's beautiful. It's awesome. What this does is you sign in with a Microsoft account, and then after doing that, you start a new design and get your design information, like the name of it, etc. And then it asks you to set up a site. You have to go through the front end and edge server designs, mediation design, reverse proxy setup, Office web app server design, persistent chat. Of course, if these are not things you're using, you don't have to go through setting them up. And then kind of the overall environment. Then you can validate the design, make sure there's nothing wrong or off about what you put in there. You put IPs that make sense, things like that. and it then spits out your internal and external DNS, your internal and external certificate requirements, including all needed SAN entries. How awesome is that? Certs are always a pain point. Internal and external firewall requirements, super helpful as well. What your host file should look like on the edge server and reverse proxy, and then a few deployment scripts for automatically setting up internal DNS records and things like that. Lastly, once you kind of got this deployed, you can validate the deployment with publicly accessible tests. So they've kind of combined some of the awesome features of the test connectivity site and the planning tool, the link planning tool, and put them all together. They allow you to export the basic document in Word format with all that information. Makes it much easier to put kind of a all-in-one solution right in front of your client and say, here's what we're looking at. Here's what our requirements are going to be. And man, it is awesome. I can't shout that out enough. I am definitely going to be using this moving forward. And if you have not checked it out before or used it, I would strongly advise that you do so. Very nice. Good job, Richard and Michael. They are both, by the way, Office Servers and Services MVPs. And notice I actually gave the MVP the correct title this time with the new change of categories. So, yeah, good work, guys. That's it. I don't want to ramble on too much longer. Actually, this is my second cut because the first cut I went well over 15 minutes. So hopefully I'm staying under this time. But I want to keep this short and sweet for you guys. Thanks for watching again this week. I hope you guys come back next week. And please, 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 if you've got feedback, sarcasm, constructive criticism, I take it all. I just want to make this show better. I want to make it what you guys want to hear each week, how you kind of want to consume the news and information that has been ongoing. Let me know. Drop me an email. Drop a comment on my website. Drop a comment on this YouTube video. Any of those things. I'd be happy to get your feedback. So, at any rate, thanks again. Hope your guys' week was okay. I hope you have an amazing and restful weekend, and we will talk next Friday. Happy Halloween, too.